Hi, I'm Kesenya and welcome to Guiding Star Astrology. I'm your Astro Weather Girl, here with this week's Astro Weather Report. I'm going to show you how the stars are going to affect your life this week. To get the most out of this video, I suggest listening to the report while you're cleaning or exercising, maybe creating something or driving down the road. Listen to the intro so that you know what's going to affect you and when it's going to happen in the week ahead. Lastly, use the timestamps in the description to go to your rising sign, sun sign and moon sign in order to learn how things will affect you personally. A special welcome to those who are new to astrology. If you want to learn to read your own astrology chart, you can try doing my very short and very cheap course. The link is in the description below. Big welcome also to all my friends who like, share and subscribe each week. I love you. And a big welcome also to my gold, silver and bronze star family. I pray for you every day. If anyone else wants to join the Guiding Star family, the link is also in the description below. And now for this week's Spotlight. Well, we cannot begin our Astro Weather Report this week, my friends, without first acknowledging something that's tragically unfolded in the astrological community this week. The loss of Nikola Stojanovic has hit hard all around the world. He was a much-loved astrologer, teacher, mentor, friend and guide to so many of us in the astrological community. I had the privilege of meeting Nikola in 2019 at the Bulgaria Astrology Retreat hosted by Astrology, and was just in awe of his great wisdom. As I'm sure many of you who've seen his reports online and through Astrology will, attest to. So he's a great loss, a beautiful mind, but also I've had readings with Nikola and he was a gorgeous soul. Bit cheeky, fun, playful, and very wise, very knowledgeable. So it's with a great deal of gratitude that I say thank you to Nikola for all that you gave, and I look forward to meeting with you in the next life. To Lee and to Giovanna, I send my love and my prayers in your grief at this time. And to the whole astrological community around the world right now, who all of us are grieving the loss of this great man, we all join together in love and remember Nikola. So on to this week's Astro Weather Report. What is happening in the skies? Well, there's quite a lot happening in the skies this week. I'm not actually going to discuss the sextiles because that would take the whole weather report to talk about all the sextiles that are unfolding in the week ahead. I'm going to talk about the main stronger configurations, namely the trines and the squares. So if you're familiar with aspects in astrology, that's what we're looking at. But first, we have a new moon occurring, and it's occurring here in the sign of Aries. It's the first new moon of the astrological year. And to some, this is the beginning of the lunar year when we have the first new moon in the first astrological sign, Aries. Now, this is a very important new moon because of this, and I discuss this in my Patreon video all about the new moon in Aries, and I break it down for each sign so you get a report for what this new moon means for you in your personal sign. So where does Aries fall in your chart and how will the new moon be affecting you? Check out the link in the description below to become a Patreon member and get that information. But let's not pull any punches. This new moon, it's going to be transformative. It's going to be very powerful. And that's because of an aspect being made to Pluto over here, a square that's being made to Pluto. Now, it's not an exact square. It's a few degrees off an exact square, but a square nonetheless. And what is Pluto all about? Transformation, change, renewal and rebirthing, renovation of the soul, of the self. So there's a lot of work to be done in this new moon, which I do talk about in my video. So be prepared for a lot of change coming from this particular new moon, and it's for your highest good, even though the change might come with a very uncomfortable feeling a bit unaligned, feeling a bit frustrated, as is the nature of a square. But Pluto is transformation, and that's really what he wants to accomplish by joining in with this week's new moon in the sign of Aries. So that's the main influence that I am seeing of strength in this new moon. There are a couple of influences alongside that as well. We have Jupiter making a sextile, one of those minor aspects that I mentioned. Sextile, it's a sextile week, but we have Jupiter sextiling the new moon, and we also have Mars, and this is forming something known as a bisextile triangle, which is going to hold space for us. Again, I go into greater depth with that in my new moon video. If you would like to know more on how it will influence you, do check that out. But let's just say we're very blessed to have this bisextile holding space, especially with this square from Pluto coming at the new moon. So we're being asked to up-level with this new moon. We're being asked to bring out our hidden secrets into the light to be transformed and transmuted. What secrets are you hiding? What things are you keeping from everybody else? Maybe you might even be keeping some things from your own consciousness and awareness too. They could also be revealed. But our foibles are going to show up in order that we might compost them and get rid of them and renew ourselves. So it's some pretty hard psychological work. And if you like psychological work, then you'll love this new moon. But if you're a bit more unfamiliar with doing the deep introspective work, then it could be quite challenging for you. Pluto's not going to tolerate any denial of your foibles here. You must face your shadow side with this new moon. And look, we can have some courage, we can have some enthusiasm, we can have the energy and optimism to put towards doing this, doing the shadow work, doing the inner work because of this square. So all in all, it could be quite productive for a lot of people, if somewhat confronting. So you might be wondering, well, what day is this happening, Kesenya? Well, we are having this, and I'll read out the dates for you. It's occurring at the 22nd degree of Aries, and this is the 12th of April for most places around the world. So for Melbourne, 12th of April, 12:30 p.m. is when this is occurring exactly. In New Delhi, it's happening on the 12th of April at 8 a.m. in the morning. If you're in Johannesburg, hello people in South Africa, or that time zone at least, it's happening again on the 12th of April at 4:30 a.m. in the morning, and in London also on the 12th of April at 3:30 a.m. In New York, it's happening on the 11th of April at 10:30 p.m. in the evening, and in LA, it's also on the 11th at 7:30 p.m. So if you want to know exactly when we're gonna get this hit to our psyche, that's when. Now on the 12th of April, so the same day for most parts of the world, we are going to be having another square aspect to Pluto as well playing out, and that will be a square aspect from Venus to Pluto also, because currently the Sun and Venus are traveling very close together. So Venus is invisible. She's in a combustion mode with the Sun, not able to be seen as either the morning or the evening star. She's not in the sky at all, and that'll end before April is out, thankfully. But at the time, on the 12th, that we have the new moon here, Venus is invisible, but making a square aspect as well to Pluto. So we're going to discuss what that means, but I'll give you the times for this particular event, Venus square Pluto. In Melbourne, 2:01 p.m. in the afternoon on the 12th. In New Delhi, 8:30 a.m. on the 12th. In Johannesburg, 5:02 a.m. on the 12th. In London, 4:02 a.m. on the 12th. In New York, 11:02 p.m. on the 11th of April, and in LA also on the 11th of April at 8:02 p.m. So that is what we're looking at in terms of times for this configuration. The times are in the description below for people who want to know those. Now, Pluto power. Pluto is power and transformation, which we've already talked about with regard to the new moon, but Pluto is also power meeting Venus, the relationship queen. So what does this then mean for us all? Well, this is an inharmonious aspect. A square aspect has the energy of Saturn, which is friction, which is obstacles, which is blockages, which is frustration. So what might that mean? Well, Venus is about relationships. There might be issues and blockages and power games going on between you and a loved one today. Now that could be your daughter. It could be younger sisters as seen from the planet Venus. It could be a wife. It could be a girlfriend. It could be, if you are a woman, it might be your girlfriends. There could be power games at play here. Watch out for manipulation, feelings of insecurity in your relationships with women perhaps. And even possessiveness can rear its ugly head, where we get jealous and we're like, no, they're my friend, or, your boyfriend's really jealous of you speaking to the barista at the coffee shop or something like that. And these are the kinds of effects we can be getting. Now, if you've been in a relationship that has been tense and under pressure for some time now, this energy is going to sort of exacerbate that. It's going to rev up that fire underneath your feet that's, having you dancing on hot coals, so to speak, with your partner. So I want to encourage you to create some breathing space in relationships today, if that is your scenario. If things are a bit hot underfoot with your relationships, create some breathing space, step back, go for a girls' day out somewhere maybe, or, just maybe you'd spend some time by yourself, basically. Go and, perhaps spend some time in nature. Venus is nature, so channel a higher energy by communing with the divine. Go sit by a creek and read a book, or walk by a lake or something like that, or be in the forest with the trees. Venus is nature, so that's a better place to be than in a relationship where there's tension and friction and frustration. And this also goes for healthy relationships. There's no harm in having like a one-day break from one another in some realm. And that includes friendships as well that are healthy. You might just like to spend some time on your own and use this time for going introspective about women's issues, because that's what Pluto wants to do. He wants to compost and dissolve away, or renew and reform, if you like, issues pertaining to women. So you might like to ponder on that. How am I honoring my feminine side? How am I living with my feminine energy? They might be questions that are well worth, discussing in your journal on this day, rather than interacting with other people where there may be friction and jealousy and manipulation and possessiveness going on. It's a claustrophobic energy, so some people might find that their relationships at this time are feeling claustrophobic, like too much, too full on, too intense, too deep. And it's like, I just want some fun and some lightness here, but I'm not getting it. Go and create your own space. Go and create your own lightness. And, if you must go deep, if you must go intense, do it regarding yourself and your feminine issues. Now, if you are single, for some people, depending on the configurations in their chart and whether they're getting a lot of triggers, if you've taken my relationship course, you'll know if that's you or not. But if you're getting a lot of triggers, this could be one that brings a relationship into your life today, but be very careful, because these kinds of relationships that form under this aspect of Pluto to Venus can be very intense, power-mongering kind of relationships, dominant, manipulative, and worst case scenario, depending on what is happening in your own natal chart, could even be quite violent or quite psychologically controlling. They will be karmic relationships if they form under this dimension, because Pluto is tremendously karmic, but usually, not usually, Pluto is the karma of fated events that are from traumatic past life experiences. So if you've gone through a traumatic experience with someone in a past life and they come back into your life on this day, it will be to resolve traumatic past life karma. And maybe that requires working out a power struggle that ensued in a previous incarnation. I mean, maybe you were, in a concentration camp in a past life and it was traumatic for you. That's the kind of thing Pluto rules in karmic astrology. And it was traumatic for you, and that relationship comes back, maybe with a guard or somebody that you interacted with, or someone who stole your food so they could have more and you were left with none, or whatever the circumstance was. That karmic relationship may come back into your life today. And look, that doesn't necessarily mean that, you have to be single to experience this happening. It could be that you have a fated relationship with somebody who is, your waiter at a restaurant, and they happen to be this person from a previous incarnation. So, single, married, partnered, it doesn't matter. Some of us can have these karmic relationships that come back in to resolve an issue or a power struggle or a manipulative event or some sort of trauma that occurred in previous lives. So sometimes that's not easy. If we are dealing with somebody who was an energy of angst in our previous incarnations, I mean, that can cause anxiety, that can cause stress in us as our soul recognizes a person who traumatized us in previous lives, or maybe we were the one who traumatized others in previous lives, and we get a strong rebuff or sense of rejection from somebody because their soul is recognizing our negativity from a previous incarnation. So I hope this is really rather deep, but these are the kinds of energies that are playing out when we're looking at karmic astrology with this dimension that is unfolding in the square between Venus and Pluto. So should you start a new friendship, should you start a new relationship under this influence, it could have long-term karmic influences. It might rid you of past life traumatic karma, but it'll usually be through somebody needing to take their power back in this lifetime. That could be a scenario. Or you might just have difficult experiences with other people, particularly between men and women in this instance, because there is a need to resolve something from a previous incarnation. For some people that takes a long time to absolve. Maybe you get together with someone and you're together for a couple of years and it's just a really difficult relationship, but it absolves the karma. For some people, you'll have that waiter at the restaurant who's serving you and some interaction occurs and the karma's resolved and done and on you go with your lives. So, it can be quick or it can be long term. There's with both Venus and Pluto, they're not sort of recognized as either fast or slow planets in their influence upon our existence on this plane. Pluto moves very slowly through the sky, yes, but is not necessarily a slow energy-giving planet. But we may experience these karmic events occurring. And if that is the case, deep breaths, keep your wits about you, keep your mental faculties, and make wise choices where you can. Venus is actually the planet of making choice. Pluto is the planet of experimenting and sort of dabbling in things to give us information about the choices we want to make. But Venus is to make the choice. And because Venus is combust at the moment, making choices, making decisions is not so easy right now. We can be a bit up in the air about things. So someone comes on into your life, they want to establish a relationship with you under this influence. And of course, there can be a lot of karma there, and you might not have your wits quite about you to make a wise choice in your best interest while Venus is combust. So there's a few illustrations of how this little monkey of an aspect can play out for us. I do hope we all cope with this one fine. Then on the 13th, the 14th and the 15th of April, 3 days, we're going to have a pretty special time of it. And that's going to be because we're going to have the sun and moon exalted in their signs of exaltation, funnily enough. So the sun is in Aries, the moon will have moved from its new moon conjunction with the sun in Aries and moved into the sign of Taurus where the moon is exalted. Now, these are lucky days when the things we start can have great results, where any products we launch, any business affairs we undertake, any interactions that we undertake on the 13th, 14th, and 15th are blessed because the two luminaries, the sun and the moon, the masculine and the feminine in the sky, are in their best dignity. Now, this only happens once a year, so it's a great time for, like I said, undertaking any of those ventures I just mentioned. So if you have to start a new project, if you have to, schedule a meeting that's very important, if you're initiating something new, do it on these days. Plan ahead, put in your calendar this week, boom, 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 these 3 days, I am going to do good stuff. My important stuff I'm going to get done so that I can make the most of this very blessed and auspicious energy. And we're going to talk about this in the All Signs breakdown. And then on the 16th of April, we're having another square aspect between, this time it will be the sun and Pluto reaching that sort of 26-degree mark. So everything's squaring off with Pluto this week. I'll give you the times for this one as well. We're having this occur, as I said, on the 16th, and it will be on the 16th of April for everybody, everywhere. It's happening at 11:10 p.m. in Melbourne. It's happening at 6:40 p.m. in New Delhi, 3:10 p.m. in Johannesburg. In London, it's happening at 2:10 p.m. In New York, it's happening at 9:10 a.m. And in LA, it's at 6:10 a.m. in the morning. So we're all copying this one on the 16th of April. So this difficult aspect is going to expand in us the need to feel like we are in control of our lives and control of what is happening in our immediate environment. Now, because the sun rules powerful people and Pluto is also a planet of power, we can have run-ins and power sort of, butting heads with people of influence, with people of authority in the world, at this time. So yes, kings and queens are represented by the sun energy, the solar energy, but also, maybe it's just somebody of influence in your community or someone of influence in your family, a father figure even, we could be butting heads with at this time. So don't be surprised if you're feeling somewhat defensive. That's common under a Pluto square to the sun aspect, where we feel like we've got to sort of justify ourselves or react or respond to defend our pride. The sun is very connected to our pride, and so there's a lot of that defensiveness going on. Any past life hurts, traumas, crises again crop up now with the influence of Pluto in this configuration. And the sun wants to shine a light on these. The sun likes to illuminate. I mean, that's what it does. So without the sun, we can't see a thing. Can't even see the other planets in the sky. So with this this influence, there is an illumination of past life hurts, traumas, and wounds. Now, you might not know that these are your past life experiences, but you will get some wound or trauma in you, trauma response, trauma behavior, trauma attitude, being illuminated and revealed to you. So be conscious and aware. I mean, there's just so much spiritual growth that's available to us when we are in our conscious self and we're aware. Okay, we step out of ourselves and we observe, okay, that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm feeling. Where is that coming from? Why am I feeling that? Is that an appropriate behavioral response given the circumstances? And we do some questioning of ourselves and some assessment of ourselves, and it just gives us so much spiritual power to step out of the situation and be objective. And I'd encourage you to do that as much as you can on this day and observe yourself to understand what your traumas, your karmic loops, your cycles are that are going to be illuminated. I do want to also say that if you do find something coming up and being illuminated in you and it's confronting, get some help, because this is not something we have to go through on our own. When we're dealing with maybe an old abuse pattern or a response to subversive tactics or undermining of who we are, or people who, play us down in the world, and we might have a certain response to those circumstances. You don't have to process this stuff alone. Pluto is the planet connected with therapy, particularly psychotherapy. So do reach out for help if you need it on this day. It might be hard to do so. You might have a lot of pride getting in the way because of the sun making this difficult sort of blocked aspect with Pluto. But it's trauma therapy that is really going to help. And look, I don't mean going and paying a fortune to a psychologist or something like that if you want to, and that's a regular thing that you do by all means, but we don't have to do that. Sometimes a form of therapy might be dancing out our frustration. That's something everybody knows. I love to do that. I pull the blinds down at night and turn the music on in my lounge room, and I dance around doing my FU dance do a lot of stuff that's within me, and it shifts the energy and it moves it out. That's a therapy practice. So one example, do that for whatever issues that come up, and seek help where you need to. Reach out to friends, reach out to family, reach out to people who care about you under this energy. You're not alone. Pluto wants to refine us so that we can really shine, and under this influence where the sun is illuminating the things that need reforming in us, we can come into our confidence, because sun is confidence and Pluto is power. And so the combination of these two can be for our benefit, but we're going to have to do some hard work because it's a square aspect. So be forewarned and forearmed, be prepared to do the deep psychological inner illuminative work, And you can actually empower yourself, bring more confidence into your life, bring more personal power, take back your personal power, maybe from a past life or maybe from an abusive situation in the early part of this incarnation. But it's designed to help us shine, but we have to do the hard work. And finally, on the 17th, told you it was a busy week, and I haven't even talked in depth about the sextiles. This week we're having a Mars trine to Jupiter. As I said, this was occurring at the new moon here. We've got it drawn on the board there between Mars and Jupiter, but it wasn't exact to the degree. The exactness is coming on the 17th. Let me give you some times around the world. For most people, it'll be on the 17th. So in Melbourne at 3:10 p.m. in the afternoon. In New Delhi at 10:41 a.m. In Johannesburg, it is at 7:11 a.m. In London, 6:11 a.m. In New York, 1:11 a.m. in the morning. And in LA, it's happening on the 16th. It's the only difference there. And it's occurring at 10:11 p.m. in the evening on the 16th that we're getting this exact aspect playing out. And what's it going to bring us? Well, this is a positive aspect, so that's very nice after these Pluto squares all week to wrap up the week with a positive, benefic trine. The trine carries the energy of Jupiter. Optimism, positivity, luck, things can even land in our lap now. So this is a time when if we're feeling competitive, the energy of Mars, if we want to be a winner, if we want to go out and get it in life, Jupiter's going to help that to happen for us benevolently. You know, we can get the opportunities to win, lucky breaks that come our way on this day. Kaboom, powerful. This might be especially powerful if in your own chart, Jupiter or Mars are important planets with great dignity and aspects and what have you. Then you will feel this even stronger. But no matter the outcome of what you're competing for or striving for or looking to win, you're going to walk away feeling happier and more positive, like you've made a good effort. Like, let's say you're going a marathon run, for example, or it could be any scenario where you're competing. You may not win the marathon run, but you might make your personal best time. And for that reason, you come out going, woo, I win. You know, you might put in for a job and be going for that job or pitching a project or something like that to the board. And, you know, you mightn't come out with it going exactly the way you thought, but you might come out with a better opportunity than you imagined. Like if you go for a job, and this happened to me a few years ago actually, and I went for a job and I didn't get the job that I applied for, but they were really pleased with the interview and they created a position for me. So these are the lucky breaks that can occur where we come out a winner or we feel just happy despite the outcome with a trine from Mars to Jupiter. You'll be satisfied with what you achieve personally now under this influence also. And of course, self-belief. Faith in ourselves, Jupiter, to have faith, is high and we're energized by this. Our self-belief is energized with this beautiful aspect, and we can utilize that. We can use that energy to our best advantage, because if we believe we can do it, we're not going to be afraid to take a risk, a healthy risk. When Mars is involved in square aspects, the risk might not be so healthy. It might be a bit of a dangerous risk, but this energy is benevolent risk-taking, you know, getting the courage to, you know, dip our toe in the water and have a crack. Mars isn't actually the planet of desire. Actually, Venus rules the desires that we have, but it's Mars that rules the actions that we take to achieve our desires, to manifest our desires. So here, with beautiful, expansive energy from Jupiter, we are going to have what it takes to go after our desires and to see them manifest to some extent on this particular day as well. So provided they are healthy desires, you know, with a positive aspect from the planet ruling integrity and morality and ethics, then desires that are less than ethical won't really get a Guernsey. But anything that is morally upstanding gets a good dose of Jupiter oomph into it now, and you can go for those beautiful desires that you have. So this is an energy for making decisions, trusting your judgment, investing in relationships, and using your confidence to your advantage now. So go for it. It's a great energy to have a crack at things. So let's take a look at the breakdown for all signs now. And as I mentioned, we're going to be having a look at the influence of these lucky 3 days in the middle of the week, the 13th, 14th, and 15th, when we've got the sun and the moon exalted. Let's start with Taurus, because that's where the moon is exalted at this time. And as I said, this only happens once a year, and they're very auspicious days. So for Taurus people, the sun, here's the sun in Aries and the moon in Taurus. The sun and the moon rule your third and your fourth houses. So it's in third house, fourth house realms that you can actually see some manifestation of success, because the ruler of the third house and fourth house are in exaltation today, or on those 3 days that I gave you. As I said, 13th, 14th, and 15th. So you might like to make some new starts with some projects that you're doing, some social media, a podcast, or a small business, or make a fresh start or new beginning with maybe a workshop that you want to run, or some sort of meeting you want to host. You might be very blessed by using the skills of your hands on this day. You making something, creating something. It's a craftsman's energy, the energy of the third house. So I love this. This is really precious. If you like to make and create, also if you want to communicate, if you have an important email to send, or an important meeting to set up, if you need to telephone someone about an important issue, or get on a Zoom call or something, do it on any of these 3 days. You will get the best results and get the results that please everybody with this date. Now also, as we said, the sun rules the fourth house, so new beginnings, fresh starts, and auspicious energy in the fourth house. That might have to do with housing. Maybe you're wanting to sign a contract for a new house on this particular day, or get a builder to do a renovation. Maybe you're looking at investing in real estate. You might be looking at, it could simply be, it doesn't have to be anything big like that, but it could be that you want to clean up your home, and, it's quite overwhelming, but on this day you just happen to have 3 friends who are available to come and help you move furniture around. And this is very friendly house, the third house, and the fourth house is your home. So you get friends to come and help you move furniture around, or clean out the garage or something, and you have a fresh start with a clean space in your domestic environment maybe. Or relationships with family or your tribe. Tribe being sort of, usually it's familial blood connections, relatives and what have you, but it can actually even be just very intimate friendship circles as well. People who get you, people who understand you. That is the energy of the tribe, represented by the fourth house. So you can have fresh starts, turn over a new leaf, clean slate with those sorts of people in your life. You might be very blessed by interacting with those people in some way on this day. And if you're a gardener like me and you love to sort of get your fingers in the earth, this is also a good day when you're going to feel joy from doing that, and really positive, and your plants actually might actually really go very well if you plant plants on these 3 days. Like if you need to plant trees, or you want to put some veggies in or something like that, or some flowers, do it on these 3 days. Very auspicious energy, plus the moon is waxing. And this is for you guys, Taurus people who like to be in nature. Generally, this is the house of gardening. So all good. Gemini rising, sun or moon people. The energy of this particular auspicious 3 days, the 13th, 14th, and 15th, is falling for you in the second and the third houses. And so this is where you can be having some new beginnings, some exciting new events occurring, or just the chance to be really blessed this week, feeling good about life, feeling like life is working in your favor. And of course, the second house is our resources. And so you'd be feeling good about your own value in the world and your contribution to the world, because the second house is what we value, and particularly our self-value. It's also what we receive as well. And so, you might be feeling good about what you're receiving. You might receive some praise. You might receive a gift. Maybe your partner leaves a beautiful flower under the windscreen wiper or something for you before you go to work. And there's a receiving energy that's blessed and benevolent and bubbly here. You might receive, a compliment. You might receive a prayer from somebody. These are sort of beautiful things that we like to give to others, but also you might be on the receiving end under this energy, and it might really uplift you and bless you. This is also the house of stuff, food in the pantry, shoes in the cupboard, blankets on the bed, all that sort of stuff. Having enough resources to give you a comfortable bodily journey through your lifetime. And so we may find for Gemini rising, sun and moon people that there's some sort of advantageous circumstance that you are in this week on those 3 days with resources. Somebody cleans out their cupboard and they find a pair of groovy, funky sort of cowboy boots that they haven't worn ever, and they're like, Kesenya would really like those. I'll give them to her. So Kesenya scores some cowboy boots. Stuff is what we're looking at here, and sort of being blessed, being sort of advantaged in some way under this influence. Now, of course, we've also got the sun ruling Leo, and so this means that there can be some blessings in the house to do with business, trade, buying and selling, craftsmanship, maybe any small business that anyone who's running a small business who's a Gemini rising can really have an advantageous day. It's a good time for setting up meetings, doing deals, trading. Good time for doing communication, sending that email, running that workshop, launching that social media platform. This is a good day, or these 3 days are really good days for that, when you will stand to gain the most out of it and get something out of your efforts towards business, buying and selling, and even making, because this is third house, has to do with creating and in sort of like the craftsmanship manner, not sort of creativity like Leo is creative with self-expression and what have you, but it's about, I'm going to make a braided rug or something like that, and yeah, it's all fantastic and it goes really well, and the braided rug looks sensational in your room, so craftsmanship is blessed. And this energy, as are your relationships with your siblings and your neighbors as well. So reach out to your siblings and neighbors on any of these 3 days, and you could have a really good interaction that leaves a very sweet taste in your mouth. Cancer rising, sun and moon people, well, of course, we're looking at these auspicious 3 days this week, the 13th, 14th and 15th, and this is when your first house is going to be amplified and blessed. Why is that? Because your ruling planet, the moon, is exalted in Taurus, and so is the sun in Aries for 3 days, and therefore your first house and second house get a bit of oomph and energetic uplift. So for you guys, this is where you can be blessed. First house things, your ability to initiate something, to start something, to help you flourish in the world and thrive. You might initiate something with your body and your image, your personality. You might put your personality out there in the world, and your vibrancy and your charisma might be seen by people now, and it serves you well. It blesses you. So on these 3 days, don't be afraid to sort of, do a social media post or get up and public speak or something, not because the first house is the house of public speaking or social media, but because putting yourself out there, your face, your personality, your charisma is going to benefit you and bring blessing to you. So find the courage and get out there and put yourself out in the world. It will certainly pay off. Also on this particular 3 days, Leo is activated as well, and that's your second house. And this is where you can be blessed as well. This is the house of resources, stuff, things. So you may find that you receive something of value on this day. Somebody gifts you something perhaps. This is also a house of receiving tangible stuff, like, somebody, is cleaning out their kitchen cupboard and they find a gorgeous vase and they're like, this retro vase, Kesenya would love this. Can I give that to her? And Kesenya gets a fabulous new vase to use in her videos if she wants, So you can really benefit materially from some kind of stuff, but also it's a house of receiving. So you might be on the receiving end of some sort of gift, some physical gift, but also a compliment, or maybe a kind act that you receive, some sort of words of encouragement or upliftment that, you know, edify your soul on this particular day as well. Somebody might, I don't know, stick a chocolate on your desk at work for you, and there's a beautiful gift, you know, and it uplifts you, and you're blessed because, you know, well, your hips mightn't be blessed, but your tummy and your taste buds are certainly going to enjoy it. You know, these sorts of blessings that can come when you receive on these 3 days this week. So lots of blessings and lots of opportunities for you guys. All right, so for Leo rising, sun or moon people, we're seeing the energy of the benevolent 3 days this week, which is the 13th, 14th and 15th, falling in the realm of Cancer and Leo. Now, this is because the sun is exalted in Aries and the moon is exalted in Taurus, and the sun and the moon rule Cancer and Leo, your sign, Leo. So this means that you can have new starts, fresh beginnings, and you can be quite blessed in these realms of the chart. So the 12th house realm, your spiritual life can be really amplified. You might get messages from the divine, from the ascended masters. They might speak to you, or you might channel something. You might, just hear, your clairaudient sort of voices might come through very clearly on this day, or clairvoyance or clairsentience, whatever. These things are represented by the 12th house, and you might be very tuned in and receive some blessing from the divine on these 3 days. But also you might just be very creative. Leo's a very creative sign, full stop. And so you might get fabulous ideas for some new project or some song or poem that you want to write, not necessarily to send it out there to the world to make me famous or anything, Leo, even though you might like that. But really, the 12th house energy of blessing is just, you will be edified by writing that poem or sitting down and imagining out that story that has been kicking around in your head for a while, and it just brings you joy, it just brings you pleasure on these beautiful exalted days of the sun and moon. It only happens once a year. Now, there also could be some healing, because this is a house of divine, miraculous kind of healing, but also medicinal healing. So if you've been suffering with a migraine or something, you might find that on this day, these days, there's 3 of them, that things lift and the blackness kind of goes or something miraculously, or you get some medication that helps you with that circumstance. So we could see these sorts of healing energies that come benevolently on these 3 days as well, which would be really lovely for people who have been suffering in recent times with whatever ailments, particularly mysterious ailments. It's a mysterious house. And of course, this 12th house is the house of bed pleasures as well. The joyful, delightful things that we do in the bedroom. So you might get some new bed linen. You might find that you are able to sleep in more, or you have really stellar dreams, like dreams that are messages from the heavens that uplift your soul, that those sort of dreams where the alarm goes off and you're like, no, my dream's so good, I don't want to wake up. That's the kind of stuff. We can be having those very blessed, uplifting dreams that leave us in a state of hey the rest of the day. Fabulous. Leo is also affected your first house, and the first house is where we flourish, where we thrive, where we survive. So you might get great opportunities to just bless your life and its trajectory and where you're going. Maybe some opportunity comes to you out of the blue, or you just get advantages that that you wouldn't usually get on this day. But this is also a house of charisma, and let's face it, Leo people have a hell of a lot of charisma, especially if they're Leo rising, where they've got Leo as their first house. So this is where the house of charisma, the house of personality, and your image that you're putting out to the world gets blessed. So I would encourage you, Leo people, if you have any type of activity that requires you putting yourself out in the world, do it on this day. Like launch a new website or something, or a podcast, or if you have to stand up and give a speech somewhere or whatever. These are good days, the 13th, 14th and 15th, to do those things, because your charisma will be excelling. It will be shining. It will be well received and blessed because of these auspicious positions of the sun and moon, particularly the sun ruling you, your first house. For Virgo rising, sun or moon people, the energy of these 3 days, the 13th, 14th and 15th, is falling in the 12th and the 11th house. And this is because, guys, we've got exalted sun and moon, only happens once a year for those 3 days, and they rule these two houses. So what does it mean? It means new beginnings, fresh starts, but blessing is coming for you in these realms. So what might we see? With the 12th house, we might receiving this blessing, we might find that we get beautiful downloads from the divine. We might discover way back in the back of the bookshelf, a book by W.B. Yeats, a poetry book or something, and we sit down with a cup of tea and we're reading it and we're like, oh, I'm transported into another realm through his beautiful poetry. Or we're transported into another world of joy or beauty or love or perfectness. Not that the 12th house is a perfect house, but it's about idealized circumstances. So you pick up Anne of Green Gables, which I love, and you read that and you're transported into Avonlea or Four Winds Harbour or wherever, and suddenly the world is more beautiful and more idyllic. So that's a blessing when that happens. It lifts our spirits. It lifts our vibrations. What a great thing to have happen. You might also find that this is a great day for your own creativity to be sort of almost coming through from divine realms, where you get inspired to write a poem. You get inspired to write the next Anne of Green Gables equivalent for our generation, or something happens where there's inspiration that comes through from the heavenly realms that is benevolent and blessed and uplifting for you. You could be communing with the divine, your prayers feel heard, you do yoga, you do meditation, and it just is out of this world good for you on these days. If you're into doing past life work, do it on these days, because will be fantastic. You will probably go back to a past life where you were just living it up and having a great time. And we do have those past lives. You'll often hear me talk about traumatic past lives, but that's because as souls, we're coming out of the Kali Yuga, and a lot of us have had pretty crappy past lives in this dark period of humanity. But we have also had good lives, neutral lives when we've just sort of poked along and enjoyed the sunshine, So we may, through doing past life work, experience those benevolent past lives that give us a bit of a boost as well, if you are into past life work, which is a very 12th house thing. Now, also, as I said, the 11th house is blessed by this configuration. And of course, the 11th house is our friendships. You could make new friends on this day, beautiful Virgo people. You could, expand your friendship circles, or find that a friend does something kind for you, something benevolent for you, or is thinking of you. They ring you up and you haven't heard from them in years, or a friend sends you flowers just randomly for no reason at all, or somebody at work buys you a coffee when they're down the street because they know you like chocolate mocha latte or whatever they call it. You come back with, they go down the street and bring you back your favorite coffee. And you get that, a friend is thinking of you, a friend does something kindly for you, a friend lifts your spirits, or is benevolent towards you, which is beautiful. It's also a great day or 3-day period to take action on your dreams and goals. What are your dreams and goals? We've got to know what they are before we can take action on them. Maybe, you want to be the next Tony Robbins or something like that. So, you take action on these days to take another step towards that life goal that you have, that life dream that you have, and it really pays off. You ring up an auditorium because you want to book it out with a public speaking gig, and they say, yeah, sign up here, and look, we know people who'd be really interested in this, let's publicize it. And you're like, bonus, away we go. Dreams and goals can get a good shot in the arm, a blessing under this auspicious energy on this day. So take that step, deep breath, take a risk, and make the most of this great energy towards achieving your goals and dreams. Libra rising sun or moon people, we are seeing the energy of these 3 auspicious days on the 13th, 14th and 15th falling for you in the 11th and the 10th house. Why is this? Because on this day, it happens once a year, these 3 days, we are having the Moon Exalted in Taurus and the Sun Exalted in the sign of Aries. And these are the 2 luminaries, the 2 very pivotal planets in the sky. They're part of the primal triad. And because they rule the 10th house and the 11th house, this is where you're going to feel the blessing. This is going to feel where you're going to feel the freshness, the illumination, the abundance. So what does it mean? Well, it means take an opportunity in these realms, take an opportunity with friends. You know, you've wanted to join a social circle or a group or something, and now, you know, act upon it. Go for it. You'll be well received. You'll be welcomed into the fold with a friendship circle or a network or something. Enjoy that auspicious energy backing you up to move into some realm. Or you feel like you want to be involved in some sort of activism and you want to join in with that. It's a great time to do it under this energy. You will really pay off. And of course, whenever we start something new, we establish a new chart for that energy of what we're about to do. And to start something new in the realms of maybe activism or a new friendship, joining a new friendship group, or this is also the house of our dreams and goals and aspirations. If we take action on a dream or a goal that we've had percolating in ourselves, in our psyche, then we can receive blessing because the chart will be carrying an exalted moon and an exalted sun. Perfect. Really, really good. So very auspicious for new beginnings to do with those themes and topics I just mentioned. And you can also be blessed by a friend on this day. You can be blessed by some social group. You can be blessed by some humanitarian activism or activist cause or something like that. Your dreams and goals can be blessed and activated. Now, also the 10th house is being enchanted, shall we say, by this very auspicious energy. And so your job, your career, your heart's goal and heart's delight in the world can actually be enchanted, to use that word again. So what might this look like? Well, you know, you might get a recommendation from a boss that just, you know, you're chuffed. You know, some authority figure sees you, they value you, they honor you. And, you know, you feel exalted because this energy is about exaltation. You feel exalted on this day in the workplace, in your career, in what you long to achieve in the world. You might get, you know, you're a musician or something like that, and you might get an opportunity to audition for some fabulous show or a band or something like that you love, and you get this chance of a lifetime. You know, obviously you need good things going on in your own chart for that sort of thing to be happening. But generally, auspicious results in career. Blessing in career, fresh starts in career that can come. So whatever your field, whatever you're working in, just know that on these 3 days, it's a great energy to sort of have a crack at something, to take a risk at something, to put yourself out there in career, because the energy supports you. The energy is backing you, and it's going to say, yeah, you got this. We're going to exalt you in career on these days. So for Scorpio rising, sun or moon people, the energy of the benevolent days 13th, 14th, 15th of April are falling for you in the 10th and 9th house. So this is happening because the sun and the moon, the ruler of your 9th and 10th houses, are exalted for 3 days. This happens annually. And so new beginnings, fresh starts, opportunities, and blessing come for you in these realms of your life. Firstly, career. Career could be very blessed under this day. Your reputation in the world might get a shot in the arm. You know, somebody might give you a shout out on social media, or somebody might share your YouTube video with a mass of people in a big group or something like that. And suddenly, you know, you get seen. Your reputation, your visibility in the world is exalted. That's what this energy is. The sun is exalted, your 10th house ruler, at the same time as the moon, your 9th house ruler. So your reputation and your visibility in the world gets a blessing under this energy. You might get opportunities for a new career advancement or project or recognition in the workplace. You might have a boss or an authority figure sort of giving you kudos and honoring you, exalting you in some way. All the good stuff in the realm of career. Not only that, Scorpio, but you also have the 9th house being positively activated by this also. 9th house is our benefactors and our mentors and our sources of inspiration. So you're going to be blessed from these realms today. Now, let me give you an example. I follow a fabulous YouTuber named Robert Sefer. Many people will know who he is. And, you know, you might be listening to one of his videos on this day. He's an anthropologist. He deals with higher knowledge and ancient understandings and what have you. And you might be listening away to, regularly. You do it every day. You listen to one of Robert Zephyrs' videos. And then on this day, you happen to hear something and it changes your world. It elevates you. You realize something, that the scales fall from your eyes and your knowledge, ninth house, is taken to a new height, taken to a new realm by an inspirational figure, by somebody who's a mentor, somebody who you respect and look up to. Respected people is really the ninth house. And you are lifted up by some inspirational figure. And of course, it's a house of knowledge. And of course, your knowledge can expand when the ruler of the ninth house and the 10th house are exalted at the same time. So I love it. It's a powerful energy for increasing your understanding of the world, of ancient cultures particularly, because Cancer has to do with traditions. So your understanding of traditions, your understanding of, old folk ways and what have you, pagan ceremonies or whatever, the folk ways that you're into exploring or traditions that you're into exploring can be very illuminating for you and give you a lot of blessing. You might also, we see this as a house of travel, but we let's face it, traveling is difficult at the moment. Hopefully that will ease off in not too long, but it is still hard. And so when we travel under this current energy, it's really representing to us how we can expand our heart and our soul and our mind to grow, to understand more. And of course, in the ninth house, with the ninth house Lord and the 10th house Lord exalted, you might find that you get to travel maybe virtually or talk to somebody by Zoom who's in South America or somewhere far away from you. And through doing so, you expand your heart and soul and mind and your understanding. So blessing can come that way as well. All right, so for Sagittarius rising, sun or moon people, we're talking about the exalted days this week, the 13th, 14th and 15th, and this is where we're going to see some new beginnings and some blessing occur. And for us, for Sagittarius people, it's influencing the ninth house and the 8th house, because the sun and the moon are both exalted, and the sun and the moon rule your 9th and 8th houses. So what does this mean? Well, it means that you can be blessed by a mentor or a guru or just somebody you respect. A respected figure in your life can give you a blessing. They might give you a shout out. They might give you some promotion. They might, be very philanthropic towards you, and you can really benefit from that and receive some blessing. You might also get opportunities to expand your heart, your soul, your mind, your understanding of the world under this energy, which is, of course, it's wonderful. So that might be through connecting with someone in a foreign culture, doing a Zoom meeting with somebody who lives in The Hague or something like that. And, you get the chance to sort of expand your awareness or your higher knowledge. This is a house of higher knowledge. And so, your wisdom can increase through some experience, and that's a blessing. Now, also, we have the moon ruling your 8th house. So 8th house things can be very blessed through the exaltation of the moon on these days as well. You might find that your knowledge of hidden mysteries suddenly grows, maybe through, some sort of benefactor who gives you a book on ancient pagan practices or something like that, and you get a gift from some benevolent benefactor about 8th house things, looking at paganism or trying to understand ancient mythologies and how they apply to our lives today, looking at the psychological impact of maybe mythologies or folk ways, because Cancer rules folk laws and folk ways, and we're looking at shamanic folk ways and folk laws. And it's through these realms that you might find some blessing, some illumination, some way to exalt your spirits under this influence. You might like to study some astrology on this day, because astrology is a higher form of higher knowledge, and it's also an 8th house thing, which is shamanic practices and sort of occult practice, something that's hidden from mainstream awareness. So jump into the astrology. Check out my YouTube playlists all about transits and what have you through various houses, and enrich your astrological knowledge under this energy. Now, if you find yourself in a bit of a jam on this day, a bit of a crisis, something's going wrong, not quite working, that's an 8th house thing. To be in a state of crisis, just know the universe can rush in to support you. The universe has your back to sort out your problems and transform you through those experiences today. So if you hit the wall and something's, hitting the fan, then trust, pray, reach out to the divine, because the universe will help you and it will rush in to give you assistance. So pray for answers on this day, and solutions can emerge most benevolently. You might also find that if there are any hidden mysteries sort of in your life, or sort of skeletons in the closet that you're denying or what have you, you can resolve those. You can actually compost them and dissolve them. We talked about this in the intro very easily on this day. The sun and the moon are going to help you to deal with those shadow sides of yourself. Doing shadow work is an 8th house thing. Looking at the psychological behaviors and things that are holding you back, the self-sabotaging stuff that you do that holds you back from success. By looking at that under this influence, you are going to have every blessing in the world to be able to transform that, compost it away, and emerge into success and your own springtime. Okay. Capricorn rising, sun or moon people. Well, of course, this energy of these exalted days for you is falling in your 8th and 7th house. This is happening on the 13th, 14th, and 15th, when the sun and moon, as they are every year, are in their exaltation at the same time. So it's a very auspicious energy of new beginnings, of blessings in the 8th house and the 7th house realm for you. So the 8th house realm might mean that you, through doing some shamanic work or deep inner psychological processing, some realization occurs, and it's like cha-ching, how wonderful, I get it now, things make sense. That knowledge, that illumination, that gnosis that I've received now helps me go forward and change my life and transform my life. It's a house of transformation. So these sorts of events can occur that really bless you. Someone might come across your path who just says one word and it just really alters how you do life. You can also find, because this is a house of other people's resources, that something belonging to someone else, physically, like resource-wise, stuff-wise, is a blessing for you. So you might receive a gift on this day of somebody else's, like grandma's fur coat or something, like a legacy or an inheritance might come your way. Or, maybe you find out that great uncle Mike has left you his fabulous Harley Davidson or something, and even though you're not into Harley Davidsons, well, that's a bonus to get that because it's worth quite a lot of money. So hey, you get some sort of blessing that could come through a legacy or an inheritance or maybe a tax return. Obviously, opportunity, blessing through other people's stuff that can come. The house of other people's resources here. Now, also we're looking at the house of partnership and collaboration and contracts. So if you have to deal with some contractual issues, this is a good day for you guys. If you need to go sign for a loan, if you need to go and organize a will, if you need to go and sign some legal document, these are great days. Go and do it under this. If you need to establish a new business partnership, maybe you need to hire an accountant or a taxation, return officer, or maybe you need to go and connect with an advertiser or something to promote you. This is a great day to establish a new business partnership under, because you'll be establishing a new chart for that, and it will carry an exalted moon and an exalted sun. Bonus. So really good days for doing those sorts of things. So these are great days as well for connecting with your partner, making them feel valued, exalting them, because remember, sun and moon are exalted. So exalt your partner. They will also probably reciprocate and do something that will lift you up and exalt you, help you to feel valued in the relationship itself. And it doesn't have to be anything fancy dancy. It could be just simply that, your partner comes home and he says, let me cook dinner on the barbecue tonight. And why don't we sit out under the stars and just eat our, hamburgers or whatever on the back lawn under the stars together, and let's make it a bit fun, a bit romantic. And you're like, bonus, let's do that. And it lifts your spirits. It boosts your energy to share that experience with your partner. That's really beautiful, really precious. And they've taken on the responsibility of doing dinner for you, and, great stuff. But it doesn't have to be, sort of high-end, fancy, expensive, whatever. It's just blessed by being in a partnership, blessed and uplifted by sharing something ordinary but lovely together with one another. So look for ways to do that, and I'm sure you will probably be on the receiving end of those sorts of things as well. And of course, I'm talking about marriages here, but it doesn't necessarily have to be marriages. It could be, maybe you do something really kind for your client, or they do something really kind for you. There's a house of clients and your audience, so you might be on the receiving end or the giving end of some benevolence to those people as well. Now, for Aquarius rising, sun or moon people, the energy of the exalted days on the 13th, 14th and 15th this week is going to impact your 7th and your 6th house. And this is because the sun and the moon are exalted, and the sun and the moon are ruling your 7th and 6th houses. The sun and the moon are only exalted together at the same time for only a couple of days each year, and that's what's happening this week. It's very exciting. So this is an energy of new beginnings, new opportunities, and blessing in these realms. 7th house blessing might be that you are in a partnership, maybe a business partnership, or it could be a personal relationship where your partner lifts your spirits, exalts you in some ways, uplifts your energy. And that could be through something really special, like your business partner comes to work and brings you your favorite, brings in your favorite lunch for you. You love Thai food, and your business partner knows this and, brings Thai in for you, and you're like, great, fabulous, I love my favorite food, gives me a lift, gives me a boost. Or maybe it's your romantic partner, your marriage partner might come home. I just use this illustration for Capricorn people, but might come home and say, let's cook dinner on the barbecue tonight. We'll sit out on the back lawn and watch the stars come up together. And you have this very ordinary but beautiful experience of eating your hamburgers on the back lawn and watching Sirius rise in the sky, the star Sirius. So lovely experiences that lift the soul with partners, with people that are important in your life. Now, it's also a house of contracts. So if you need to sign a contract, if you want to establish a contract, great energy to do that under. And I should also point out, if you have any soul contracts that need breaking, do it under this energy. The universe has got your back to cancel those oaths that you swore in previous lifetimes, or those unwritten but verbal contracts, or even written contracts that, like, if you got married to someone till death do us part in a previous lifetime, and you keep repeating lifetimes with that person, and you're like, oh, I'm just, his soul's saying, I just need a break from this person. Well, this is a chance to break the contract and receive blessing for it. So if you're into doing that kind of spiritual work where you absolve contracts, do it under this energy. You will not lose. Your soul, your trajectory, your life story will be very blessed by taking some ritual to absolve and break contracts. Okay. Also, 6th house. So this kind of ties into what I was just talking about, because sometimes we can have contracts with enemies. We tango perhaps in many lifetimes with somebody who is not in our best interest, and they keep coming up again and again, because maybe back in a lifetime in 1432, we happen to be in an arranged marriage with that person where we made promises that we are now paying for, umpteen dozen lifetimes down the track. So enemies, people who actually haven't got our best interests, people who aren't looking out for us or giving us their highest good, or, not seeking our highest good. We can break contracts with our enemies now, and I'm talking past life stuff, but it could be even, maybe you've got a building contract with somebody who's just crap, and you're like, oh, I want to break this contract with this person. Good energy to do that under. It'll pay off. It's also perhaps a very good energy, not only to step away from difficult relationships with sort of enemy type people in the world, but it's also a very blessed energy to look after your health and well-being through diet, through exercise. Whatever you establish now is auspicious for you. So review your diet, review your health, start that new routine at the gym, and it will pay off. Not only because the sun and moon are exalted, but the moon is in a fixed sign, Taurus. And so whatever you start will, endure, you'll persevere with, you'll be dogged about, seeing it through to the end. And that's great for diets, and it's great for exercise routines as well. So thumbs up for those sorts of things, as well as perhaps establishing a new routine, working out, your day-to-day. Okay, I'll get up at 7 o'clock and I'll greet the sun, and then I'll have a shower and I'll pray in the shower, and you work out your daily minute-by-minute routine if you're that way inclined. And, you can really benefit from establishing a new structure for your routine, day-to-day, under this exalted energy. You're starting a new chart when you establish something new, and this new chart will have an exalted sun and an exalted moon. Perfect energy. All right, Pisces rising sun or moon people. Mwah to you beautiful Pisces people. I just love you Pisces people today. My daughter is a very strong Pisces. She's on school holidays, and we've just been having such a great time. So feeling the Pisces love. So on these exalted days this week, on the 13th, 14th and 15th, this is when we can experience auspicious new beginnings and blessings correlating to our 6th and 5th houses. Why is that? Because the sun and moon are exalted. The two luminaries, part of the primal triad, are exalted in Aries and Taurus, and the sun and the moon rule your 5th and 6th houses. So easy. What does it mean? Well, it means that in the 6th house realm, you might have some good dealings with employees. If you're an employer, if you hire people, or if you've got contractors who work for you, you can do very, very well. They can be, do great success, bring great success rather for you. They can achieve a lot for you. They can do work that really advances you and helps your purpose. Your employees can be of great benefit and blessing in your life. You can also establish really good routines now. If you need to revise your health routine or your day-to-day plan, do a new exercise routine or diet, then this is a great time to start something new, because not only are the sun and moon exalted, but the moon is in Taurus, a fixed sign. So whatever you start will endure and persevere and be quite dogged for you long into the future. So a new diet, or a new exercise routine will tend to last longer when we're establishing it under a new chart, because that's what we do when we start something new in life. We establish a chart for whatever that is, like an exercise routine or a diet. And the moon in a fixed sign is going to make sure it endures. So perfect energy there if you're looking to amp up those 6th house things and get fit again. I know I definitely need to do that. But also the 5th house is being blessed for Pisces rising sun or moon people. 5th house is love, 5th house is dating, you might get asked out on a fun date, or currently in Melbourne, the comedy festival is on. So, somebody might ask you to go out and just enjoy yourself, do some sort of pleasurable entertainment is this 5th house thing. And you could go out and have a good laugh at the comedy festival, or some fun experience where you're out there, not stuck at home watching Netflix, but you go out and you enjoy life with other people. And it's a house of pleasures that we go out for, restaurants, fine dining, comedy festivals and stage productions and all that cool stuff. So you can have an opportunity to experience those in some way, perhaps out of the blue. You mightn't have been expecting to go, and someone might have a spare ticket. They ring you up, hey, you want to come? And yep, cool. You might also find that you might be blessed with your children. So as I just said, my kids are on school holidays at the moment, and you might have a really great day with them, just doing something. I don't know, it might be a ride in the park together, or you might go to a museum or something, and you just have fun with your kids, and it exalts your spirits. Because remember, sun and moon are exalted. It lifts your spirits, it lifts your energy. You feel really good about your children, you feel really good in their company, and they lift you up as you will do for them. them, you'll lift them up. So a lovely energy for connecting with children and lovers, or just having pleasures and fun that are very entertaining out in the world. Also really good for self-expression. If you've got creative juices flowing, perfect time now to jump on that and make the most of it. Because fifth house is highly creative and imaginative energy. So go for that energy. Okay, finally, Aries people who have waited till last. The energy of this week's auspicious days, the 13th, 14th and 15th, is affecting your 5th and 4th houses. Why is that? Because the sun in your first house, very strong, and the moon in your second house, Taurus, are both exalted. Now, the sun and moon are only ever exalted together at the same time on a couple of days each year, and it just happens to be this week, so very auspicious. And of course, the sun and moon rule these houses, as I said. So there's blessings here, there's new beginnings, there's new opportunities coming in these realms. Of course, the 5th house realm might be with your children. You might find, if you've got children, that you really enjoy their company. Or if your children are estranged, or you don't see them much, or they've moved away from home, you might reconnect with them and just feel really uplifted by the experience. Your spirits get exalted by connecting with your children in some way. It could also be that you are, if you don't have kids, then maybe it's through experiencing some pleasurable entertainment that you're just lifting your spirits and feeling more joyful and like life is blessed. So I used the illustration a moment ago of the comedy festival, which is on in Melbourne at the moment. Somebody might ring you up with a spare ticket and say, hey, you want to come? And you're like, wow, didn't see that coming. I'd love to. You go out, you have a great time, and your spirits are boosted through a joyous experience. Could also be luck as well. This is a very lucky house. Second luckiest house in the horoscope. So you might receive, it's a house of speculations and taking risks as well. There might be some speculative risk that pays off for you, or you might get some, good news that comes your way that, you've done really well in a certain area, or you're, excelling. You might even, for some people, they might even encounter a celebrity on this day, because these days, because the 5th house is the house of celebrities. So it could be a minor celebrity, or maybe you run into Jim Carrey or someone, I don't know, but you find that there might be some amazing, like, wow, that was an exceptional experience. I met Dolly Parton or something. So great opportunities for connecting with the world in all these ways. It could also be quite romantic, and if you are in a romantic relationship, then make the most of the energy. Get out there and have fun with your partner. Live it up. And if you're not in a partnership, well, just create romance for yourself, because it's all of it. It's going to lift your spirits and lift your energy. Now, also the 4th house is being blessed here too. And so what is the 4th house? The 4th house is gardening, for one. And Cancer energy is gardening. So double whammy. For you guys, it's a great day. If you like pottering in the garden, getting your hands in the earth, growing some veggies or planting a tree or whatever, do it under this energy. Because if you plant something under this auspicious chart, the exalted sun and moon, if you plant something, that tree, that veggie plot, they're going to flourish. Not only because of the exaltation, but because the moon is waxing, growing in strength, which is great for gardening work and planting new plants. So get on it if that's something that you love. But also, this is the 4th house of connection with your parents, the family maternal line. You might have a lovely interaction that just really lifts your spirits, makes you feel exalted and happy. Could be very beneficial. You might also have a really great experience in your domestic environment. Maybe you find that your kids, 5th house, help you to rearrange the furniture in your home, and suddenly the feng shui is really good, the energy is moving well, and you're like, I love this place, just through something simple that just lifts your spirits in your domestic environment. So another illustration of how that might play out. You might find that you get an inspirational idea for, I think if we put a beautiful mural wallpaper across that lounge room wall, it would just boost the energy, the atmosphere in our, you get ideas, you're inspired in the domestic environment. Or it could just be Cancer is hospitality, that you decide, I'm feeling really good at the moment. Energy's really great. I'm going to have some friends over for dinner. we're going to just cook a barbecue in the backyard, and we might sort of sit around the pool or something like that if you're lucky enough to have a pool in the backyard. You just do some hospitality, and it lifts your spirits. You feel really good, and the energy is great through doing those fourth house things. So that's what we're seeing for all signs. I do hope this reading for you has been a blessing today. And don't forget to like, share, or subscribe if you haven't done so already. I'd love to see you here every week. In the meantime, be blessed, and I'll catch you with a weather report next week.